Today I'm gonna do a detailed analysis verse by verse of the lyrics of Knights of Cydonia by Muse. Give this video a like if you want more content about Muse, let me know in the comments down below what should be the next lyrics analyzed, and let's begin with the title. Knights of Cydonia. Cydonia is a Mars region where there might have been an ocean. That's why some people think there might have been life there. It's also where the famous face on Mars is located. It's just a face-like hill because of shadows and because of the low quality of the first pictures taken there. But because there might have been water there and because of these face-like places, there are some conspiracy theories that say that there were an abandoned civilization there, and this civilization would have been wiped out in a great war. And if we consider who are these knights here, maybe they fought in this great war. Now let's take a look at the lyrics. Come ride with me through the veins of history. So it begins with an invitation, and veins of history, maybe it means that it's a deep dive. They are going to examine the entire history. Why? Because when they examine the entire history, they are going to see that there is a God who isn't doing his job. I show you a God who falls asleep on the job. But who's talking here? Who's the lyrical speaker? Apparently it's one of the knights. And this knight is going to show history. But whose history? The only place that's here is Sedona. So it's probably the history of Sedona. And if this God is not doing his job, it means that history is full of problems that were not solved by this God. So it's an useless and incompetent God. And how can we win when fools can be kings? And means that additionally to this useless, incompetent God, there's something else. Fools can be kings. Kings here we can think that are just kings, or we can think that they are leaders in general. And if fools are allowed to become kings, it means that this God allows this to happen. Or if we want, we can think about that idea of the divine right of kings, or God's mandation. That means that kings were named by God. It was a way to justify why a specific person would become a god. So in this case, these leaders act as gods because of their power. And then, don't waste your time or time will waste you. So it means, hurry up, there's no time to waste, we must do something quickly, and no one's gonna take me alive, the time has come to make things right. You and I must fight for our rights, you and I must fight to survive. So in a way, it's kind of a call to arms, a call to prepare for confrontation. This God and these kings or leaders don't wanna do their jobs, or are incompetent, so they can't do their jobs. So we can't rely on them to solve our problems. So we must do it ourselves without depending on institutions, on leaders, kings, or on supernatural forces, gods. And if we must fight for our rights and must fight to survive, it's a matter of life and death. It's something urgent. So we really need to do something. Otherwise, we are gonna die. We are gonna be wasted by time. So don't waste your time, or time will waste you. And if we consider that the lyrical speaker here is one of the knights of Cydonia, and if we consider that they come from a destroyed civilization, that means that their civilization, the place where they lived on Mars, was destroyed, was wasted by time. That's why it's an urgent matter and we must act quickly so that we don't have the same fate as they had on their planet. So in a way, they are showing their history. Here I'm considering that one of these knights is showing us on Earth what happened to their civilization. So in a way, it would be an example of what could happen here that happened there to them. And that's it. These are the lyrics. But there are some additional information that we can consider to interpret these lyrics. For example, this idea of an abandoned civilization that comes from a conspiracy theory. Let's see what Matt Bellamy, who wrote the lyrics, said about it. In 2007, in an interview to Q magazine, Matt Bellamy said, "I'd definitely be up for a trip to Mars. I'd love to record an album at zero gravity, or at least go up there and do a vocal take. The area of Sedona is very interesting. There are parts of it that resemble abandoned civilizations." So our idea that the story here is that these knights come from an abandoned, destroyed civilization really make sense. And another important information related to this is the album cover. Storm Thorgerson, the graphic designer who designed the album Black Holes and Revelations, said in his book The Raging Storm that the main inspirations for this album were the songs Knights of Cydonia and Invincible. He said that the songs evoke galloping and musical grandness, with the words epic or biblical coming to his mind. So the biblical horses became the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. That's why there are horses on the table. But as Muse are a contemporary band, instead of representing war, hunger, famine, and pestilence, the 4 horsemen represented here not the evils of a medieval world, but more contemporary evils, which would be paranoia, intolerance, narcissism, and greed. In the cover art, we can see these characters. Paranoia is wearing a suit of ice, he is always watchful. Intolerance is wearing a suit of patterned religious symbols. Narcissism is wearing a suit of many mirrors, so he can never see enough of himself. Greed is wearing a suit of gold. And they are sitting in an alien landscape that seems to be Mars, with red soil, and we can even see Earth behind them. Because of this, many people interpret the lyrics as a combination of the subjects of Mars and the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. The 4 horsemen represent God's judgment of people's sin and rebellion. But in the lyrics, if one of them is the lyrical speaker, it's hard to say that they are acting in service of God. So this interpretation is, in my opinion, highly influenced by the album cover, because there's nothing in the lyrics obviously indicating that it's about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. And another information that is interesting to consider is that the verses "Don't waste your time" or "Time will waste you" could also be a reference to one of King Richard's speeches in Shakespeare's Richard II. I wasted time, and now doth time waste me. What's interesting is if it's really a reference, it's a king saying that. It's even more of an example to us. We shouldn't waste our time, we should do something worthwhile before time wastes us. But if, in my opinion, the lyrical speaker is not one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and this is not in the lyrics, who is the lyrical speaker? I think there are 2 options. The lyrical speaker can be a citizen or can be a knight. I'm considering in the story here that these knights come from Sedona to Earth. So if the lyrical speaker is a citizen, it's someone from the general public, someone who's worried about problems of the world. But why would the song have this title, Knights of Cydonia? I don't think it would make much sense, because why would a citizen, someone from Earth, say, "Come ride with me through the veins of history, I'll show you a God who falls asleep on the job"? Why would the citizen here say this to someone else, or to one of the knights, or to all of the knights? That's why I think that the lyrical speaker is a knight, one of the knights. And as I said, in my opinion, it just doesn't make any sense to say that these are the horsemen of the apocalypse, either the ones in the Bible or in the album cover. Because as I said, they came to destroy. So we should fight against them. It doesn't seem to make much sense here. So I would say that the lyrical speaker is, in fact, a plain knight. One of the knights that fought in the Great War of Cydonia on Mars. And they came here to show us what happened there. So their history would be an example to us of what could happen here and of what we should avoid, what we should fight against. So they are not in service of God, they are just here to alert us of what could happen. What do you think about my interpretation? What is yours, or what would you change about my interpretation? That's it. Let me know in the comments down below what is your interpretation. Let me know what should be the next lyrics analyzed. Give this video a like if you want more content about Muse. If you want to support my work here, you can subscribe and consider becoming a patron. This way you help me keep doing more videos like this. That's it. Thanks for watching, and ciao.